a quick recap then. The study looked at intelligence levels at age 11 and how they influenced whether people were married by middle adulthood. They used data from two big data sets. Admittedly, they were from a long time ago, the Scottish Mental Health Survey dataset and the dataset from a mid-span study. So they were both UK-based data sets. And they found a connection between intelligence, gender, and marital status later in life. Women who had been married had lower IQ scores when they were children compared to those who hadn't married. And on the other hand, men who had been married tended to have higher IQ scores. So essentially, more intelligent women in childhood were less likely to be married in adulthood, whereas for men, the reverse was the case. So higher IQ men in childhood were more likely to be married in mid-adulthood. So again, we won't go through too much of the detail because we're going to actually look at the study in the different sections, but I'd like to remind you that the intelligence was not the only factor that was assessed in this study. They also looked at the type of job that the participants had. They also looked at social class and they looked at height. And they found that these things interacted with one another. So they found that the type of job that individuals had at middle age also influenced their likelihood of being married, as well as intelligence. So specifically, women in professional jobs, so things like being a doctor, being a lawyer, etc., versus men in manual jobs, were both, so manual jobs being things like construction work or building or plumbing, were less likely to be married by middle age. And researchers considered factors like social class and height, and they found that intelligence, height, and social class all played roles in whether someone got married. So it's worth bearing in mind IQ or intelligence, as we said in the previous session, was not the only factor at play here. More on this later. So let's take a deep dive into the method of this study and how did they carry it out. So I've underlined in yellow some of the key points that stick out to me, and they should be sticking out to you as well from having read the study in terms of important things to note. So the first point is in the first line, and I'll point here with my cursor. Psychometric intelligence data at age 11 years were obtained from the Scottish Mental Health Survey 1932. Two things I'd like to point out here. One thing is that they tested IQ at age 11. They didn't test IQ in middle age or when women were married or when men were married. They took IQ tests from the age of 11, so that is worth bearing in mind. It was childhood IQ rather than adult IQ.